Hello everyone, greetings from India. This is Nirbhay Chauhan from Eklavya Self-Learning Tutorials. Well, today in this video session, I'll be discussing about the scope of BIM in FOSS. The FOSS is, as you know, free and open source software. So today we will see how the free and open source software can be useful for the BIM, like what are the various available software at present. And so we'll be starting with the local software in which we can make the BIM models, and then we can upload in on the open source BIMServer.org where we can apply our further operations. So let's get started. Let me just make myself a little smaller. Yeah, so this tool is FreeCAD. This is also free and open source software. So this is the only first and free and open source software in the field of BIM. So in this software, you can make pretty amazing BIM models. So for the architecture purpose, this is a very good one. And we can also make structural rebars also in this. There are pretty much, you see, workbenches available here. I have also already discussed in my earlier videos, like the various workbenches, how you can do the BIM modeling. There's a course also available in my video playlist. They can see how to perform the BIM modeling in FreeCAD. So today, as you can see, there are some of the various models that I've made in FreeCAD. Like, so what I did is I exported them in IFC, and after that, we'll just go to the BIM server where we can apply, further operations to see whether it is okay or not, what actually more things that we can do there. So it is pretty much useful for us. So now this is a typical house that I made in FreeCAD. So now I'll be showing you the working of BIMServer. So let's go there. Actually, BIMServer is a dedicated server. You can also install this on your local station. So here you can see this is a demo project by Suspendomian. We have uploaded our own models also starting from here. So I'll be showing the models which are made from FreeCAD only, like this modern house. So this is the name of the model, description, created, length, and the schema definition. So here, let's just view our model. So it's pretty much like Solibri only, but it's totally cloud based. So you can see, you can 3D view your model, and its rendering speed is quite good. So here in the tree view, you can see the name of the model, the site, the building object, and we have the different floors, roof, floor 1 and ground floor, and their various components. Suppose you want to see, like we have the types here, door, roof. Suppose we are only interested to see the roof only, so simply you can click here, you can see the roof. Or you want to see on the slabs, so see, you can see the slabs. So these are pretty interesting operations that you can perform. Then we have the layers, classification, properties, query. So this is also a very important function of the BIM server. Like you can just, there are pretty much pre-built queries here. Like suppose you want to go for the all walls, simply you have the query set here. You can just set the query, and you can also download this IFC file containing on the walls to perform a further operation and the code checks. Then you can see like all walls and slabs. So now you'll be having the slabs also. So this is basically playing with the information in the IFC file. That's why I say information is pretty much important thing. So this server is playing with the information. Then what further we can see is we have the project information here. We have the sub projects. We have the reasons made, like the users can download and checkouts can be made here. We have the services we can apply to this model from here. like add internal service, add external service. You can apply the query, extended data. You can browse for this model, like what are the things contained here. Suppose we have to go for the IFC roof. So this is a structure with the OID in name. So this provide all the information, relevant information for this and 3D view. So shape type is not defined here. Contained in structure, properties, and all the things which are related to this object or the entity is contained here. Then the users in this project, you can just see here the model checkers for this. So it's a Java based program basically. You can just upload your own engines also, own model checkers also, or you can perform locally by downloading the model. So what more thing you can do is you can have this model download and you can upload with the new revisions, so you can just check them. Then what are the, we can also do clash detection also. So this is pretty much important thing. Like here you have the user settings. Let's see the render engines, query engines. It's like here, server settings, install plugin bundles, the plugins which are installed in this particular BIM server that we are using. It is the latest version which was updated by I think last month. So the team of the BIMServer.org is also aggressively working in this direction. You can see the install plugin bundles. Then you can see the database of it. These are the plugins that we installed. Right now we are using the BIM View EWS, which is open source BIM viewer. Then the BIMServer we have here. The next thing that we can just see here are the users which are added in the projects. So these are the users which we have added. You can also add another user also by simply writing here and sending an email. So that's pretty much interesting. You can add your user and give them a role like read only or the user or the administrator. So you can use this person as they want. So that's all a pretty much interesting thing. Like you can see the scope of open source BIM is quite aggressively moving forward. Like let me just show you the BIMServer.org. Open source BIM server in the heart of your BIM. There are plenty of researchers working on this project, so it's a good thing to see. They have a presentation here. You can also download their version. It's a jar file basically. You can also work on your local PC server or on a dedicated server also. Next, the tool that we used generate the models, like here one of the more I can just show you here that I made using this, like this model. So you see for the modular designs, I see FreeCAD is a very excellent option for the AEC market, and there are pretty much tools available here in the multiple workbenches options. Like you can make the part designs, you can have then your shop drawings exported. Then you can also use this for a decent BIM modeling, I should say. You see this entirely made in FreeCAD. Like suppose we click on this, so you get on the structure. This is another column. You can have the properties here, like what is the volume of this object of this column, what is the area grossed by it. You can apply the queries also. That's pretty much interesting things that you can do with this server. We're also in the testing phase only. We're doing seeing its much possibilities in the coming future. So this is one of the IFC file made in Revit by me. Let me just show you for the example only that how the rendering and all things, how the IFC can be pretty much useful for the visualization as well. But I should say the information thing, which is also very important to us. Next, the thing I'd like to discuss is this tool that is a FreeCAT. So right now I'm using the version. So you see, these all models are made in FreeCAD and pretty much good, I should say. Let me just show you its tree view. So here you can see, so we're working on the mansion. We have a particular beam approach here, like the side, the building object, then we have the roof, the ground floor we have, then we have the floor one. You can work on the multiple floors as per your requirement. So the modeling, doing the BIM modeling in FreeCAD, I should say it has got a pretty much simpler approach than all the conventional software. You can use it in a very, I should say, if you're familiar with the CAD functionality, then it becomes very easy for you. The approach of placing the libraries and the digital components is also a good thing, but here you can just do from scratch. You can make your own models from scratch by simply sketching. Let me just show you a typical example. Suppose, let me just close all the windows. Let me just show you a typical example of the modeling. Suppose, so what I prefer, usually I prefer the Sketcher workbench to model my objects or the buildings. You can use the draft tools also if you're familiar with the CAD, but Sketcher is something which provides parametric properties to your model. Like suppose I'll go in with the parametric modeling only. Suppose we open the Sketcher workbench. So right now here in this video I'll not be showing the way to do the modeling. I'll just show you the overview only. There are several videos I have contained for the total purpose. Suppose, let me just create a slab first. Suppose I created the sketch. Let me just make the symmetry here. Just like in Revit, you add the constraints for the, you take the reference planes and the reference line. So here we have the properties of making the constraints, which become, I should say, it's a better approach to add parametric properties. So now you see this is totally constrained, like it's symmetry. Now we can add the lengths. Suppose this should be around 6 meter. Let it be length. Now let this side. So we can just make formulas also here, like we have the fx here. So now we're working on the sketch. Okay, we work on the constraint length, that was 6 meters. Now what we can do is we can add some operations here, like we can say this width should be uh, 0.8 times of the length, simply by multiplying 0.8. So you can apply the formula, and let's give this a name of width. So now what basically happens is you applied the formula here. So now you have the 6 meter here. When you will just change this length, particular predefined length, suppose this should be 4 meters. So you can see the change in the width is automatically done because we have applied the formula in that. So let this be 6 meters only. So now what next we can do is go to the arc workbench, which deals with the architecture components. We can just click on the sketch and click in on the structural object. So now the structure will be created from the sketch. So now what next thing you can do is just rename this structure as floor slab. Naming is very important when you have to make the relations for the formulas. Now you can assign the role to this from its properties, data properties. Let us give it as name of slab. Next thing you can give is a height or thickness we want to give. Let it be 150 mm. Or you can also apply formula here if you want. You have the fx available here, functions. So we want this slab to be in the upward direction. Let it be normal z. The direction coincide be 1. So see we got a slab here. Now let's be fast and move for the wall here. Now simply click on the surface and go to sketch your workbench, click on the sketch, let the sketch be on the flat face. So now we are working on the surface of the slab. You see the working plane is this. So what I can do is, let me just make some polylines. So just don't worry about the constraints, you can just set later also. Like this is not straight, set it at a straight constraint, this one be horizontal constraint. So now next thing that we can do is we can add symmetric properties here. Like some things need to be equal here, like this should be equal to this. We want this to be equal, this one to this, and these four edges to be equal to each other. So pretty much of things get solved, and here we also get the status of the sketch, like it is under constraint sketch with 5 degrees of freedom. So now what we can do here is, now we can just set some parametric nature here. It's like these two edges and this reference axis. Sorry, this is something wrong. We can just deal with, we should say, it's better to give the properties first. Let's give this length to be around 2000. You can also give the name also if you want. That will be 1500. That's set by itself. So now 4 degrees of freedom are already left here in our sketch. So for that, the thing that we can do here is, so this one is not of our favor. Now let's add length to this object. So this line, I should say, let it be 2500. Just make it again. Setting up of constraint is something very essential when you deal with the BIM modeling. Now we're setting the symmetry constraint to make it at a particular place. So that's all set. Now next thing that we can do is we can add the offset from the edges. Like you can take the reference of this and these lengths. Now what we can do is we can simply just set the length or distance from this. So we want it to be 1000 mm, and in downward direction we want it to be 500. Similarly, we can set for this one, like this is not set. So what better we can do here is we can set the length of this to equal to this, and now only 1 degree of freedom is left. So what I can do is I can set the length of this. This is entirely dependent upon your requirement, how you want to model the things. Now this is a sketch for our wall. Similarly, go to the arc workbench, select the sketch and make it as wall. So you see, got a wall here. We can also assign the role to the wall, and we can set the height, let it be 2500 mm. We can also set the alignment of wall, like its center right now, let it be on the left for the sketch or on the right. Next, what you can do is you can add door properties or the windows to this. Like suppose we want our door to be like here, click on the surface, let's make the reference plane here, and click on the, we have the window and door options here. Suppose we want a glass door here. Okay, so let the width be 1000 and height be of 1500. So we can just simply set it around here. So you got a door here. Similarly, make sure you also set the role of this door, Yeah, it's store only. Similarly, you can set the window here on this surface of the wall. So you got a pretty wall here. Next, we can add a roof object here. So I'm just showing you a very simple modeling that you can do with the FreeCAD. There is a very simple approaches. Let's add a roof object. Again, we can go to the Sketcher workbench. So I want my roof to be aligned to this. So what I can do is simply select these edges and now create a rectangular. So it will be totally constrained with respect to this. So now if we change the slab object dimensions, the roof object dimension will be totally aligned with the floor only. The arc workbench. Now we can select the sketch, create it as a structure. Let the height be of 100 mm. Direction consign be in upward direction. And next we can assign its role as a roof. So now we got a floor slab object here, we got a wall object, we got doors and windows. Next we got the roof object. So now next what we can do is export this whole file into IFC. So make sure you select all the components included in this project. Now assign this as a floor. So now we have a floor object here. Okay. Next for this floor we can add this as a building and this building into the site. You can also enter pretty much information to this object also, like the lotted longitude, latitude for this, the deviation, the perimeter, and the building object also, that what type of building is it. Okay, so you can add all the information that you're required. Now you can export this file into IFC. Let me export it on the desktop only. Like you can say sample house. Okay, so it has got a IFC open shell as a object library. So you see we got a sample house here. You can see the text file. It is exported by the FreeCAD as per the ISO 1030-T21 reason. So now we can add this file into the BIMServer. So let's do that. We'll create a new project. Let the name be sample house. Description be sample. Dimension is in meter and the schema is after 2 by 3. Let's add it. The server is little busy, I guess. Yeah, so now we have this folder created for sample house. Now what we can do is we can add our revision, or we can say the check-in. We can make our check-in to our IFC file. So this is sample house. So let the schema value is 2 by 3 only. Let be this one. So let the check-in be check-in new revision. So the IFC file will be imported to the BIMServer, where you can apply your. I have just shown you a basic workflow to use the FOSS tools for the purpose of BIM modeling. Now it's generating the geometry. So at the back end, all the IFC open shell and the render engines are creating the geometry. So let's view in 3D. So you see, we got a quite, I should say, it's generating information, a pretty much good thing. So now you can see in the tree view, side building and the floor, you have the slab object here. You can hide it. Then you have the roof object here. You can also hide it if you want, and you contain the walls. Okay, then you can see the properties of the wall of the selected object, like the volume of the wall, the area. So that's all the things that you can do with the BIMServer and the FreeCAD using all this open source software and the web-based server to make the communication between the different eco professionals easy. So that's all for today. Well, Thank you so much guys for watching this video. If you have any queries or suggestions, please do in the comment section below. Well, thanks for your valuable time. This was Nidvij Johan from Eklavya Self-Learning Tutorials. Goodbye.